Hi guys, it's Sikaal and Opheana here today, and we want to talk to you about guilt and shame that you may have coming up once in a while around empowering yourself in your life and making the choices that fit you. So let's first, to receive this on a little bit more of a soul-infused level, we'll take you through the pillar very quickly. So if possible, close your eyes now, or else just follow the steps as we move through them. Gently expand your heart energy to 6 feet in all directions, and you can just do this with your intention or your out breath. Just see that expand. It can be in a few out breaths or just in one go. And then expand it down to the heart of Mother Gaia. So you don't bring the sphere down, but you sort of stretch it out, forming the first part of that energetic pillar. And she brings up the energy that you need for this moment, which might be relaxing energy or activating energy if you've been feeling a bit low and depressed. Whatever it is, she matches that and brings it up for you. And then breathe out through your higher chakras to Source. And you can see Source as all present in the universe. So it's kind of like your connection to the multidimensional universe. That's a good way to look at it. Breathe up and down your pillar a few times, and you'll find that you actually settle in more deeply into yourself.
So guilt and shame we hold often around the throat area, and that can be because we're not speaking our truth in relation to our needs, in relation to what we really believe in relation to our truth. Finding a place of compassion for yourself, finding a place of enough love for yourself to speak your truth, to speak how you feel, and also doing that without the leftovers, the debris left over of guilt and shame afterwards. So coming to terms with allowing yourself to be fully who you are without pulling back into guilt and shame afterwards. So what we're really wanting to sort of explore and discuss today is how to, first of all, let go of guilt and shame, how to recognize it, because you may not recognize it. You may see it as, oh, it's just my ego telling me not to do that. Okay, I won't say that again, that type of thing. But what we're really wanting to get across is the programs in the field and the way that we've been taught as children, the way that we've been parented, is to really question ourselves, to hold ourselves back, to block ourselves from being truly who we are. And that's not us being victims of anything. This is just the way that has been so far, that, to fit the mold, to do all of these things. If you do it outside of that, often you're either shamed or you're told that you've hurt somebody and therefore you feel guilty. For instance, if you speak up and say to somebody, the way that you're speaking to me is really hurting my feeling, the way that you're speaking to me, it's just not okay to speak to me that way, then they get very offended, and then feelings of guilt can come up of like, oh, I've created disharmony, I've got conflict with this person now. Then there's, I've lost the loving feeling. And if your intentions are always good and you have that heart full of love and you only want peace and harmony in your life, then a lot of people who live that way stop themselves from really speaking their truth and being their truth, because it looks as if that hurts other people. And even if this is just fine tuning for you at this point in time, you've probably looked at this, you've dealt with this to a certain extent, just the fine tuning of, because there's always a little bit more that can be looked at in relation to being more of who you are and not feeling guilty for it, not feeling shameful for it. It comes up constantly, and I'm very passionate about it, that when you experience more empowerment in yourself, it can feel a little scary because it's a really big energy, the power, and sometimes it looks like anger, and sometimes it feels rough for other people. But it's so important to claim it, and it's so important to get comfy with it, to get to know that part in yourself of, this is who I am. And it's okay, and I'm not going to be ashamed of that. I'm not going to hold myself back so that you feel comfortable.
It's often it comes up, guilt and shame will come up because it's always measured against something, and it's measured against expectations of others or yourself. So if there was nothing to measure up against, if someone else wasn't giving you the feedback, you might not feel the shame, or if you were not giving yourself that feedback. So it's important to understand that when you move up in your process of ascension, your process of spiritual development, and we know that you guys watching this are very deeply involved in that, and you have been for many, many, many years probably. And what we're talking about is moving up beyond that to the next fine-tuning levels. So we're not talking about the basics of the idea of guilt and shame, but to really understand that as you move forward on this journey, you might feel guilty that you leave certain things behind, maybe even certain people or jobs, or you make choices that may seem egocentric because they only serve you and they actually hurt others. So where you were needed before, you leave a situation because you feel guided to somewhere else. You must understand that that is part of the process of moving through it. And by actually bringing love and light to that guilt and shame, by moving it out of your system, loving it, you can tap it out, or you can actually move through it by bringing awareness to it and understanding that's not going to change. As you move up, you will seem like you're only choosing you, and that sometimes from other people's perspective may seem like you're actually choosing an egocentric route, but you must understand that the highest service of you to the world is you being all of you from your heart and your guidance. And so by following your heart and your guidance, that's where you're going to get to the place where you need to be. And I know you already know this. However, it's about the fine-tuning mechanism. And if guilt and shame come up, to recognize that it is versus your own expectations, perceptions, and limitations, or others. And then you can break through it faster, and that will take you faster to where you need to be.
I really want to share as I said, I'm very passionate about it, the anger and the power. What does anger feel like, and what does power feel like? Power in the sense of high frequency power, source power, earth power, feminine power, masculine power, soul power, all of it
power
emerged together. So what does that power power feel like? And what does anger, what is anger? Like, if we really get down to it, what is anger? Why do we get angry? There's this often feeling of being, done wrong by. Someone has hurt me. Someone outside of me is doing something to me. It's part of the journey to claim your power, is to actually tell people, this is how you respect me, this is how you treat me, this is how I deserve to be treated. And there's the whole nonviolent communication type thing, which has been a beautiful tool, and it's part of that for me is really being okay with anger, and if it's used with, not used, but expressed with the intention of being loving. And that means being loving to self, because first we have to work from here. In the end, we're all one, right? So we're working from here. The person in front of you is a reflection of yourself. And so if you're allowing someone to treat you in a certain way, or if you're keeping them in your life because they're supposed to be in your life, or whatever it is, if you're not really holding respect and love for yourself and allowing other people, and because you understand where they're at, you know that what they're going through is because they've had a hard time, blah 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 blah. Coming back to, well, what is in the highest for me? Because if I respect myself and if I communicate from that place of self-love, then that is a place of love for them as well. So sometimes if you've been too patient with somebody and you've waited for somebody to, respect you in a certain way, and they are not, just like Mother Earth is waiting for humanity to get it together, Sometimes she has an outbreak of, you know, whatever natural disaster to, come on guys, you know, let's get some, you know, consciousness clicks going on here. And so you might get to that point after being patient where it's like, no, I am not going to put up with that anymore. That is power. That is not anger. That is strength. That is truth. That is light. And that is self-love, and really claiming that. And it's an interesting phase to go through, because you can go through that phase of this is what is right for me. This is true to me. And then if you're anything like what the process that I have been through, oh, I said that. Oh, that's going to hurt them. I just want to love them. That really hurts. Why did I have to say that? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, if I didn't say it, we'd still be going on the same journey. So it's really important, in my opinion, it's so important to speak, to own it, to tap through the emotions afterwards, or to breathe through the emotions afterwards, to do whatever it is, to let go of the guilt and shame after being your true self, after saying, this is who I am, this is what I deserve.
And you're kind of feeling the idea here that we're talking about emotions like guilt, shame, and anger. And in the development you've already been through, you recognize that those are ones you held in your body or potentially still hold in your body. But we're talking about sort of a new order of these, a new level of guilt, shame, and anger, where they're cloaked, they're concealed, they're cloaked emotions, and you think they're the same as they used to be, like anger from someone at you, or you being angry at a situation.
Like road rage or something.
As you were moving through your spiritual development and your emotional development, means something else than the type of anger Opheana is just talking about. And the same for guilt and shame. So in the past, when you felt guilty or ashamed, it was sort of more the basic form of guilt and shame, but we're talking about the next level of it, which reminds you of that's what it was, but it wasn't, because it's actually a cloaked emotion. And when you recognize that, you can let it move through you very quickly and understand that it's a response from your emotional body, but it's a response to you actually growing. So you're on the right path. And guilt and shame and anger and different emotions, even the grief or sadness of letting go of things that you've loved so much, and all you want to do is love people and bring light to the world. And this seems contradictory,
you can't carry
but
them.
guess what? You are on your path. You need to move to where you want to be and move on your route for your own experiences, but also because you came here to serve the world in the way you wanted to. And these cloaked emotions, let's just call them that for now, in fact, they are part of that. And when you know this, you can relax about it.
So loving yourself enough to really claim your power, your truth, your authenticity, to claim your love of self, to claim your compassion for yourself. It's finally time to have compassion for you. And this is where a lot of things in the world, in my opinion, go wrong, is that people aren't being compassionate towards themselves, and so they're always looking after the needs of others, which is codependency, which leads you down a path that isn't authentic.
And that isn't your path.
Exactly. And so when you feel something is off, and if you really process through it and you sort of come into alignment with it, you can just really feel that, this is my truth. I need to hold on to this. And I have some maybe leftover emotions around that. Just breathe through that, work through that, whatever it is. But stay on your path and stay with loving yourself enough to speak your truth, whatever the results are, because you'll be okay. What's the worst that can happen? We always love to go to with clients, worst case scenario. What's the worst that can happen? Face all that. It clears the pathways. Then you've got 6 pathways ahead. You're not scared of any of them because you've worked through the issues, so it won't come up when you're moving forward. So if that does happen, you're like, oh, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't as bad as what I thought it was. So just really claiming that. So that's all we wanted to share today.
Yeah, beautiful. And thank you so much, guys.
Lots of love, and it's really a message about self-love, therefore love of oneness of all of us, because if you can lead the way with yourself, then others can do the same. And
we love communicating with you guys. We appreciate you tuning in, like and subscribe, and we look forward to catching you in the next video. Thank you.
Thank you.